Movie notes on the Nero Files 2018 film, 19 July 2024. Viewing. So I've just finished watching this Friday, 19 July 2024. I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. And it's 2018 film per the DVD jacket, so that's where the 2018 thing year comes from. And I'm describing this as a biographical film about modern individuals investigating writings and other artifacts about Roman Emperor Nero from approximately the time Nero was alive to infer potential happenings in the life of the emperor. So essentially it's working with what they have available, kind of at the time of the studies and stuff, to make inferences about the past. And the past is always an interesting territory because not everything is made available, right? There's a lot of artifacts and writings, stuff from the past that aren't ever made available publicly. And then sometimes people in the private sector, and people have private collections, and they gradually release their documents / artifacts. So it's important to know that while a story around a person might be a story at a certain point in time, the story can change, at least the public story, as private information gets released. All right. So this was kind of addressing some of that and being like, well, since we don't have all of that information, let's see what we can do with what we have and see if we can provide kind of a different take on the Emperor Nero. So that's kind of what it goes through. And so there are different investigators in different kind of areas with different approaches, and they revisit different sites to kind of, like, you can think of, okay, so there's thinking through something, or historians thinking through something, but then there's a difference of in just thinking through something and then going to a place and being like, well, maybe if I can, like, maybe seeing the place will help. All right, that kind of thing. So they said, which scenario of Rome burning to the ground was true? All right, there's this, and so supposedly Nero is my great time 68 granddaddy. Same with my Nicolo Martinenghi and my Tomas Seixon. Is he alive? Do he and I have children in the future? My great time 68 granddaddy Nero. Incest, more recent for some people. They lie and say it did not happen. Us Romans accept our history, at least when mentally matured. So there's a bit of, I've been through, let's see, when I was growing up, I think it was before my grandpa Roger died, so there was a person who's descended from somebody of a very high level is always descended from that person of the very high level, right, by the existence of the descendant. And whether or not that agrees with public documentation. And so then it can be an interesting journey of discovery about one's ancestry if one is on the, like, trickle down of that ancestry chain or descendant chain, I guess. And so when I was growing up, I think it was before Grandpa Roger died or right after he died or something. Essentially, my Leonhardi, right, is the first half is Roman and the last half is German. But we were kind of raised like Leonhardi is just German. And they were like, no, you are different Leonhardi than this Leonhardi, and then in bumped some Roman emperors. So it's like, and I'm going through something similar with, right, I thought it was just plain white bread English through the Fullers, but no, I'm actually Russian royalty and Native American as well, and a pretty big deal Native American. He was the first Native American to sail from, what would be east to west across the Atlantic Ocean solo. And he did it back in the early 1600s, Matthew Fuller. So it's kind of an interesting thing because it's like, well, it's nothing new, right? We've been through that in my family tree before. So it's kind of an interesting thing because essentially the shakeups happen, and because they're portrayed as, right, the wife of Nero was killed by Nero, or is that true? That kind of, this movie questions that, which is good if one trying to put together the descendant family tree, so to speak, and, you know, I am one of those people. Right, then he didn't necessarily kill the wife and kill the baby she was pregnant with when she died, right? Per some writings, but more writings are being found or analyzed, that kind of thing. But so it's kind of an interesting thing because it's the emperor and royalty, a lot of those were truncated. So like if you go back and you say, okay, this is invalidated before that, right? It doesn't, or this person is invalidated. It's like, no, the birth certificates are right. You just got the wrong person, right? Or there was a little bit of, right, protective measures, which, people in the public realm might not have, or might not ever get if they're not well behaved enough. But which scenario of Rome burning to the ground was true? Pull out the prop I made, possibly with the help of my dad. I did, over 15 years ago, but it was like construction. So over 15 years ago, we had this class assignment, and I had kind of figured out that I was descended from Nero. I was like, I don't know how. And then, we were like, well, it's not full German. It's, there's some Roman Empire in there. And I was like, well, I already figured out the Nero part, right? So I'm pretty good at ancestral origins, even if I don't know the entire family tree. I'm like, I can pinpoint really random things. Okay. And so we had this assignment in class, and we had to make a musical instrument, and I was like, I'm going to make a prototype. My dad helped me with the cutting of the wood, kind of, and helped. He was good with instruments and handiwork and stuff, but we had to make the instrument, but he helped cut the wood because he wouldn't let me use the saw. I made a family prototype of the harp Nero played when he burned Rome to the ground. I still have it. It's the scenario where he serenaded with a harp the people of Rome as he killed them. That's my great times 68 granddaddy Nero. He was a very horrible person by Christian standards, but a lovely evil person by my standards. But this is my prototype of the harp he used. A personal harp. There's just dust everywhere. So there you go. That was in my dad, he helped with the cutting of the wood because he wouldn't let me cut the wood, but multi-generational prototype for an ancestor from over 15 years ago. Now you know. It fell, but it's okay. Yes. And then anything else? There was a Boston Tea Party. Are we going to need a Seattle coffee party? All the lattes going into the Puget Sound. And let's see, I wrote just some general notes. Oh, identical twin Edward Fuller's hypothesis may be ruled out if it turns out to be true. What? Connection here is a royal family documentation to appear normal when they are not, perhaps relevant for my Matthew Fuller stuff, as he was/is of royalty. So that's the documentation can be changed, right? Or may say something to protect the royalty, because clearly we need it in today's world. So they predicted that accurately. Royalty lesson 1: you do not always get what you want. May be ruled out if that turns out to be true. Wait, no, that's the wrong sentence. You do not always get what you want. Answers are not always provided, and if they are, it does not mean it is provided when you want it. Yes. For birth certificates, there tends to be parents present as well as the notary, the child's, and medical professionals in the form of a physician. Yes. So some people just don't like medical professionals and science like that, and so they'll be like, even with a physician, they'll be like, we don't care if this pool of professionals verified something at the time. They just want what they want, and we'll throw it out arbitrarily. Some people are good, but not all people. So there we go. So my movie note, and there's different types of not good, right? Nero is, I would call, good evil, and there's the bad, that kind of stuff. Nuances everywhere. Those were my movie notes on the Nero Files. It's 2018 film, 19 July 2024 viewing.